I'm Andy Bertram, voice of the Auburn Tigers, and you're listening to the Phillip Jordan Show podcast.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Phillip Jordan Show podcast, an emergency podcast on this Sunday. The Auburn Tigers have fired head football coach Hugh Freeze. DJ Durkin will take over as the interim head coach. I am Phillip Jordan. I write for the Auburn Wire, part of USA Today, also in-studio host and producer, Dothan Woods Football on 96.9 The Legend, and kind of expected this today. But still it is here. Hugh Freeze is no longer the head coach at Auburn. We are live on Facebook and over on YouTube. So if you're checking this out, please leave a comment as we talk about Hugh Freeze being let go at Auburn. And I'm going to read to you what John Cohen, his official statement that he put out this not so long ago, really, just about 30, 40 minutes ago. Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen announced on Sunday a change in leadership for the Auburn football program. DJ Durkin will serve as interim head coach. A statement from the Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen. I have informed Coach Freeze of my decision to make a change in leadership with the Auburn football program. Coach Freeze is a man of integrity, and we are appreciative of his investment in Auburn and his relentless work over the past 3 years in bolstering our roster. Our expectation for Auburn football are to annually compete for championships, and the search for the next leader of Auburn football begins immediately. So, yes, so there you go. Auburn has fired Hugh Freeze today. And my thing is, it was time. It probably was past time. He probably should have done this at the latest after the Missouri game when they lost in overtime. And that one also, and maybe even earlier against A&M. The offense has gotten worse. Things have gotten worse at Auburn with him as the head coach. And when you're a guy that is supposed to be an expert on one side of the football and you are not causes problem. I do think Auburn needs to go with a more defensive coach in their next hire, which we'll get to who should be the next coach in just a second here. And then last night, only scoring 3 points against Kentucky at home. The back and forth with the quarterbacks, with Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold, reeked of desperation. You go with Ashton Daniels to start, and that was the right decision. That was the right decision to start Ashton Daniels in this game. And then you moving forward, you went back to Jackson Arnold in the fourth quarter, and he played 9 plays, got sacked twice, again holding on to the ball too long. Of course, Auburn got sacked 7 times in the game total. And then the last 2 minutes, you go back to Ashton Daniels, and look, he got in midfield, but again, another sack cost Auburn in this one. And Auburn is too talented offensively to be this bad. You got Cam Coleman, you got Eric Sims, Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson. He had Horatio Fields for a good chunk this year. Jeremiah Cobb has played great when he's given him the opportunity. Omar Madsen, give him some more shots. But this team just couldn't get out. The coach could not get out of his own way. Hugh Freeze as a play caller is not good. That's another problem for Auburn. It's been Hugh Freeze as the play caller. I think Hugh Freeze, the head coach, did a really good job of flipping the roster. Auburn is much, much better off as a roster now than they were almost 3 years ago when he took over the job from Brian Harsin. I mean, all the good players had left the program under Brian Harsin. So now the roster is good, but in this day and age, college football with the transfer portal, that's going to be a big challenge for whoever comes in next is retaining this roster. And you have got to find a quarterback. That has been the biggest thing these 3 years that has hurt Auburn more than anything. Peyton Thorne was not the guy. We all know that. And he had a little bit of Robbie Ashford, which he's played better at Wake Forest, but he's not an SEC quarterback. And then you go into it this year with Jackson Arnold. And look, I'm the guy the last 2 off seasons that said if Auburn gets good quarterback play, the year before it was Peyton Thorne, this year Jackson Arnold, they should be good. They have the roster to be an 8 or 9 win team, and we'll see where they're at when they play the Iron Bowl. And do they have a shot at winning it? And I was wrong once again because the quarterback play just was not there. And the sad thing about this year with this team is the fact is this: that defense Auburn has is awesome. They have not allowed more than 24 points in any game. So if Auburn could just been average on offense this year, they should be like a 6 or 7 win team right now. 7 preferably. They could be 7-2. I mean, the Oklahoma game was there for them. The A&M game was there for them. Georgia was there for them. Now, you talk about the Georgia game, people are going to get upset because of the whole deal with the penalties. Well, I'll say this. Yes, it was a bad call. End of the first half against Georgia. Auburn's offense didn't do anything in the second half because they were reacting. They let that moment bother them. It stopped pretty much the best defense against Auburn was that play. They just fell apart. And that is a reflection back to the head coach because he didn't handle it well. Against Missouri, it was up and down in that game. Jackson Arnold started well. He had some moments in the second half, but you just couldn't find a way to win. You win against Arkansas, but you only scored 1 offensive touchdown. And that's another thing. The last 2 weeks against Arkansas and Kentucky, 2 of the worst defenses in the Southeastern Conference, Auburn has scored 1 offensive touchdown. That was the opening touchdown when Jackson Arnold hit Cam Coleman for that great catch. They didn't do anything. As good as Ashton Daniels played when he came into the game last year, and look, and I'm always one to try to look for positives, and maybe that's a criticism of mine. I don't know. But they kicked field goals. And then again, they couldn't move the ball. The one score they got was because Elijah Melendez had that interception and gets them in the score range, which they couldn't do anything with it. And then McPherson has to come out and kick another field goal. But then you look at Kentucky. Obviously, the defense only gives up 10 points. I saw they mentioned this during the broadcast on Saturday night that the last time Auburn lost a game where they gave up 10 or less points was 1991 against Southern Miss. So Auburn did not need great offense this year. They needed average offense. And let's get into it. Who should be the next coach? The next coach, look, I've said this and I've been very vocal. I think John Summerall should be Auburn's next head football coach. That's just my thoughts on it. I think he would be the right guy for that job. Now, will he get it? I don't know. I'm also know that he will be involved in the LSU coaching search because he's there in Tulane, Louisiana. I just think Auburn needs to go defensive would be a good play, or go with a guy that's going to be the CEO type coach. Don't have somebody that's going to try to be the offense coordinator. Saw that with Gus left and right. One year he's calling plays, and one year he's not. Harsin was just a disaster, and now Hugh Freeze. Get a defensive coach, bring some toughness back to this team, and then you could move forward in bringing in a offensive coordinator that is more with what the offenses are of today. Again, find a quarterback. That's the most important thing. And then, like I said, you have got to have somebody come in that the first job is to re-recruit this roster and keep as much of it together as you can. I am going to be honest. I don't foresee Deuce Knight or Cam Coleman being on this roster next year. I just don't see it. We'll see. Eric Singleton will be gone. He'll be off, hopefully, to the NFL. Hopefully, this did not mess up him too bad, or he can't get to the league. Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, there's some other guys here on this team that Auburn needs to go after. So, and to keep, obviously, and to keeping it. The recruiting class isn't great. I think you need to spend a lot of your NIL money on just keeping this together. And this is going to be big for John Cohen. This could be career defining here, is finding the head football coach, because Auburn is looking at 5th straight losing season. That has not happened since the 40s from 46 to 50, Auburn had 5 straight losing seasons. So Auburn is looking into unprecedented times for the football program. And look, we all love that the basketball team's playing tomorrow night if you're an Auburn person, but let's be honest, this is built on football. And the fact is that this football team has been struggling the way it has. It just is not good. And then doing what they did last night at Jordan Hare. Hugh Freeze is 2-9 in SEC home games. Jordan Hare is supposed to be a place people are afraid to go and play. And teams have been coming into Jordan Hare and beating Auburn. And that's not something you want either. And again, I will say this: Hugh Freeze did a good job at flipping his roster. The culture has changed at Auburn. The Auburn football program is in a better place now than it was when Hugh Freeze took over for Harsin. It's just Hugh Freeze, his failure to put a good offense on the field, finally caught up with him. And now, again, that was the low point on Saturday night against Kentucky. You just can't have it. You just cannot have what happened on Saturday night. It's going to be interesting. Also, make sure stay tuned into the Auburn Wire. We will keep you updated on all these things. Who's going to be the next head coach at Auburn? I will sure to have more thoughts and everything as we go on in the week. Please subscribe to the Phillip Jordan Show podcast. We'll be diving into it. We got the college football playoffs coming up, rankings this week as well. We got some other good things. There's a lot of interesting things in the SEC of the week as well. So a lot of good stuff. It's going to be a busy time these last 3 weeks as we get ready as we go into the season. And Stephen Kyle Kimball, thanks. I appreciate it. The comment there. I didn't really want to get on here too long. I just felt like I needed to get on here and give my thoughts and everything with what happened with Auburn firing Hugh Freeze. All right, I'm going to get out of here once again. Look, the video will be up, the podcast will be up, and I'm sure I'll have more thoughts as we go ahead and move on out this week. But anyways, follow me on social media at P Jordan Sports. Check out my written work over at the Auburn Wire, and find me on YouTube, Phillip Jordan Sports YouTube channel. And I'm going to get out of here. Till next time. Bye-bye.